Hey, it's Jeff Zito, and thanks for checking out another episode of the Celebrity Jobber Podcast. We're streaming on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeart, anywhere you listen to podcasts, we're on there. So thank you very much for checking us out. Don't forget, subscribe. Need you to hit that subscribe button. A 5-star rating would be great. Leave a comment about the show. Give us a review. That would be excellent. If you want to go back and check out past guests and episodes, you can do so by checking out CelebrityJobber.com. Like 190-something episodes. Can you believe that? Almost 4 years of doing this. Again, I can't thank you enough for making this successful. The Celebrity Jobber Podcast takes a look at celebrities before they were famous. And we kind of look at their path to fame. And, you know, sometimes it was an overnight success story. And then a lot of other times it was a lot of hard work. It was a grind. And for my guest today, Clint Black, legendary country artist. This guy, not an overnight success. It was a long grind, you know, and he talks about a lot of hard work, which got him to where he is today. He's been married to actress Lisa Hartman from Knots Landing for about 35 years. And before he was a big country star, he hustled. Not only in the bars and clubs, but Clint Black had a lot of other regular jobs before he became a big star. We'll talk about his parents a little bit, his family, the youngest of 4 boys, his parents' jobs, and some of Clint's earlier jobs and his first job, plus his big break, the moment that really changed everything. He's promoting his autobiography, Killin' Time, My Life and Music. And there's a lot of stuff that you would never, ever guess would have happened to Clint Black, but you're going to hear about some of it right now. He is a legend in the world of country music. His name is Clint Black, and he's my guest this week on Celebrity Jobber.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, give a 5-star rating, and leave a review. Check out all our past episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you pod. What if these celebrities weren't famous? What would they have become? What was their first job? We're about to find out.
Jeff.
Hello, Clint. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great talking to you today. And I was listening to a podcast that you were on last weekend. It was Taking a Walk with Buzz Knight, one of my mentors. Great interview.
Love that.
And I learned so much. And I wanted to read something that you wrote about your new autobiography, which is titled Killin' Time, My Life and Music. It says, this is a story of a dreamer with a persistent soul. After 10 years of playing clubs in Texas, I never knew if I'd get a chance to record my music in Nashville. And then in 1 year, my life changed forever. If my story, this crazy 40-year roller coaster ride, can inspire that young singer-songwriter rinsing and repeating every day, or reinforce the person struggling through a seemingly endless grind in the pursuit of a dream, well, then I'll know my life has made a difference. I was like, wow. All right. So it seems like
that.
I think so.
Man, why didn't I put that in the book?
It got me, man. So I'm reading this and I'm like, you know, for some people, you know, this stuff, stardom happens, you know, overnight. It happens by accident. This was no accident. This was not an overnight success. This was a grind. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that grind and your family. First of all, born in New Jersey, and your maternal great-grandfather was of Italian descent. When I look at Clint Black, I don't think of an Italian from New Jersey.
If you had my pasta, you would start to believe.
Make a good sauce?
Yeah. Sicilian. my family goes back to Palermo on my mother's side, and her father's. The New Jersey thing was just because her mom was in Red Bank, so she would go up there during her last trimesters and be with her mom. I was the last, so we were back in Texas when I was about 6 months old, and I never made it back to New Jersey again until Killin' Time came out in '89.
Right. Man, so tell me a little bit about your dad, your mom and dad. First of all, youngest of four boys, your father, G.A. Black. What kind of business was he in? So he was in New Jersey and then he moved back to
Actually,
Katy, Texas.
yeah, he was in Texas. He's from East Texas. So he stayed behind. My mom went up there and had me, and we came back to Houston. My dad was a heavy equipment operator, so those tower cranes you see jutting out of the top of a skyscraper in progress, that was my dad up in the little cab
Oh, wow.
up there doing that. And his four boys followed him into construction. My brother Mark was an iron worker, became foreman. I was an iron worker. Kevin was an iron worker. Brian was a carpenter. So we all worked in construction. I dropped out after about a year and just did music full time.
So where did this all come from? I mean, I heard the house was musical. You guys would have backyard barbecues. You guys were a very musical family, your brothers. So where did it all come from? Was there a band or a song?
Well, first of all, it came from through my mom's dad. His dad was a violinist. His dad was a violinist, and his dad was a violinist, and his dad was a shoemaker. But that one violinist kicked it all off.
Right on. Right
And
on.
so we loved music in the house. My dad loved country music. My mom too. She loved all music, and so we always listened to it growing up. And then my brother Brian started playing harmonica. I picked that up. Kevin started playing guitar, and I picked that up. And we played around the house, backyard barbecues. Kevin, I eventually joined his band. I became bass player, and we did that for a while. And then it was from then it was just solo, me alone in the bars.
And that was for a while. It was a grind.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito.
I understand that you supported yourself not only as a construction worker, like you said, with your family, but also a bait cutter, a fishing guide.
That's not true.
That's not true. Okay.
No, my first manager is putting together a bio to put out on me, and he asked me if I ever worked as a fishing guide, and I said no. And he goes, "I'm going to put that in there, fishing guide." Got it. And just same as you, we laughed, but he put it in there. So for the rest of my life, I'll be maybe I can get a job doing that now. But no
What do
one
you?
will hire me then.
What were your first jobs? What were you doing when you were playing the clubs to support yourself?
My first job, I was 14, 6 days a week for 4 years, selling newspaper subscriptions door to door. And then I did construction for a year. I was an iron worker. And then I worked in private security for a while as a consultant, selling services, investigative patrol, stationary guards, alarm systems, and all that. Terrible at that. And so music was it full time. From about the time I was 20, 19, 20, that's all I did. I just got by playing music in bars.
Did you ever think though, Clint, back then? And I know you were young, and when you're young, you're usually all in on dreams and stuff like that. But it's like a big dream for this to happen, to make a living the way you did. Was mom and dad ever? I mean, it seems like they were very supportive, but were they ever pushing you? Because I know that you did drop out of high school. Did they ever push you to, maybe go in another direction, backup plan, study something, or no?
My mom always said you can do anything you put your mind to. My dad believed, that I had a really good voice. And the only thing he ever said was, you might want to learn to back up repairing air conditioners in case this doesn't work out. He goes, there'll always be need for an air conditioning guy in Houston. So
He's right.
Yeah.
He's right. Here I am in Florida. I just wanted a $49 checkup, and my something or other, trans something or other went bad, $500. So you're right. It's
Yep.
always a need in the South for air condition. So tell me, Clint, there was that one thing that I was reading that apparently you wrote in the beginning that said this like 1 year, like your life changed forever. Can you tell me about that moment?
Yeah, it was 1987. I met Hayden Nicholas, my lead guitar player. We started making demos. The first one we finished was Nobody's Home, and I was looking for a manager. And this record promoter I had met years earlier introduced me to ZZ Top's manager, and that led to going to Nashville, RCA, finding a producer, and making that first album. From the time I got that demo, found that manager, and that first album came out, it was 2 years. It was 2 long years of still working in the bars, making nothing, uh, worrying about whether this break actually happened. Even after the album was finished, wasn't hearing anything, didn't know when it was coming out, waiting and worrying that something's wrong. This isn't actually happening.
But in retrospect, right, 2 years is not a lot of time, right? I mean, from where you were to where what you became. I mean, 2 years, what, because you came in and you never left,
Yeah,
right?
once that first song, "A Better Man," came out, things really. It took a while for that to get to number one, but the music video was clearing the path, and things happened quickly that year. That year, 1989, the year is the year you're talking about, and that single came out in February, and by the end of that year, I had the number one and two single of the year. I was booked to be the special guest, direct support for Alabama on their big tour. Uh, it happens. It happens so quickly once it started, but all those, like 10 years or so in the bars created so much stress and worry and doubt. I never doubted that I could make it, but I sure questioned my tactics.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. And I remember listening to you in that interview that I was just listening to, talking about what the old days taught you. And you said, get your money up front when you're playing those clubs. I
Yeah.
mean, the grind and the owners of these clubs. I mean, it's a real brutal business, isn't it?
Yeah, and save your money. I got my first check in 1990. It was $130,000, and
Wow.
I thought, I'm Elvis.
I did
I'm
it. I
free
made it.
car. And I would later learn that you need to save some of that for attorneys.
Right.
A lawsuit with my first manager lasted 2 years, and RCA sued me at the same time to make me stay with him, which was weird. But uh, I learned a good lesson, that there are going to be a few attorneys in my life, and I better
Right.
save up for them.
The Celebrity Jobber Podcast with Jeff Zito. Celebrity Jobber.
Can you remember when you were telling me about that 2 year period and then when it happened? Do you remember the day where you, like, I don't know, looked at yourself in the mirror, called your brothers or your dad and said, man, you know what? I think my life is going to be different this moving forward. What was it? Was it hearing your song on the radio? What was that thing that happened to you in that time to where you thought things are going to be different for Clint Black?
Yeah, the first thing was meeting ZZ Top's manager. ZZ Top to us was huge already,
Absolutely.
Houston, and Billy Gibbons was our hometown guitar hero. Meeting him and him saying he wanted to manage me, I really believe that was the key. He will know all the record company people. He will get me a record deal. I believe that country fans like me will like my songs, and I'm on my way. And I came out of there and called my mom and dad. And of course, would tell my brothers when I saw them that I've gotten my break. Again, 2 long years later, I don't have an album in my hands. And in the book, I tell the story of when the box arrived at my house. I rented a room at a house, three of us living in it, and I was the only one home, no sleep. Been out playing a gig the night before, early morning, UPS knocking at my door. Here's a box. It's from the parent company of RCA Records. I take it into my little room, close the door, and I sit down on the floor and open that box up. And that was the moment when I really believed that this was actually happening. This was not a dream. This was a dream come true. And I can believe it now. I can let go of all the years of stress and worry and this big bag of emotions that I've been dragging around, pushing down. All came pouring out. And I hate to admit it, but I sat there on the floor and sobbed.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was the crossing of a line that I've been trying to cross for all those years, and started believing that I hadn't even crossed it, and that the box of albums proved
wow.
it. Yeah.
And the memoir, Killing Time, My Life and Music, I became familiar with Clint Black. I think it was The Hard Way. And When My Ship Comes In, that was my jam. So that's when I knew of you. Tell me, the book, did I hear correctly, is being made into, is it a Lifetime movie?
No, actually, that's my duet with my wife, Lisa. When I said I do, Lifetime approached us to develop a story out of that song. And it's not our story. Sarah Drew and Eric Johnson play the leads, and we have a small but pivotal role in the movie, playing ourselves, and kind of become a little helper in them dealing with their issues. We have a podcast and a radio show in the movie, and so that's on May 23rd on Lifetime.
Excellent. Well, Clint, I know we got to run, and I'm just a big fan. Killing Time, My Life and Music. It's not all rosy either. In the book, there's some touch and go stuff with the record labels, and lot of it. Didn't just you didn't get that $130,000 and then all of a sudden, boom, your life is complete. There's a lot of big stuff, right?
Yeah, don't forget my jail time when I was 18,
Jail time at 18 years old.
Nearly drowned. Start the book off with, came really close to losing my life in a little stupid thing we did, jumping into a raging torrent of water. But yeah, it's like everybody's life, lots of drama. 20 years of spine surgery just about every year at the end of the tour, trying to correct from a bicycling accident.
Wow. Killing Time, My Life and Music, Clint Black. What a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeff.
So, yeah, don't want to give it all away, but Clint says he, quote unquote, accidentally got arrested and spent 9 days in jail when he was 18 years old. The time he almost lost his life and drowned, suing his manager, getting sued by his record label. There's a lot of stuff we didn't cover. But again, I would have never guessed that Clint Black is an Italian guy from New Jersey. Just doesn't make sense to me. But he is born in New Jersey, left at 6 months old, went back to Texas, where his dad is from, who's in the construction business. And, if Clint didn't make it as a famous country singer, probably would have fallen back on construction. Even though his dad said to him, hey, man, if this country thing doesn't work out, maybe you want to learn how to fix air conditioners, because living in Houston, everybody needs air conditioning. And his dad was right. As I just mentioned the story about my $49 checkup for my AC turned into a $500 bill real quick. So again, Clint Clint could have probably fallen into the construction business with his dad, but his dad believed in Clint. He said his dad believed that he had a really good voice. So I think it was the support of his mom and dad. It was a musical family, and then just started writing songs, dropped out of high school, and, kind of went straight into it, busting his ass in the clubs. 10 years this took too, by the way. And then when he met that manager, it was 2 years before anything happened. He met the manager of ZZ Top, who ended up becoming his manager. And, he thought that took forever. In retrospect, 2 years, not a lot of time, but it felt like it was forever. But when it happened, and it happened right away. Boom. Some of those early jobs, by the way, that Clint was talking about, not a fishing guide and a bait cutter. But sold newspapers for a while, sold newspaper subscriptions door to door, starting when he was just a kid, and then later got into construction, did some iron working, and then entered the world of private security, which he says he wasn't very good at, selling security services, alarm systems, etc. But he said really when, music started going for him a little bit, that was it. So, and he's talking about meeting ZZ Top's manager. He said that was a big life changer for him because this guy managed ZZ Top, who was just a huge band in the Houston area, and figured that this guy could open up all kinds of doors for him. So mentioned that as being a big break for him professionally, not to mention where he really thought his life was going to change forever. I thought it was a really great story. He talked about getting a package delivered at his house. It was his album, and he's opening the box, and he's sitting there on the floor opening the box. His brand new album's coming out, and he sat there in the middle of his living room and cried. And I thought that was really cool. That was like he did it. Now, it was a dream. It was a dream come true. It was finally happening. And he said his first check, $130,000. He had to learn how to save that money, because he'd have to end up paying a lot of lawyers in his life. Yeah, the music biz, it could be ugly. So really looking forward to checking out Clint's book. It's called Killing Time, My Life and Music. 35 years married to his wife, Lisa Hartman. They talked about the new Lifetime movie, which was inspired by the song that Clint did with his wife, Lisa, When I Said I Do. And that was turned into a Lifetime movie and should be on relatively soon. So keep an eye out for that. And thank you so much for checking out another episode of the Celebrity Jobber Podcast, one of the top podcasts on the Apple Podcast Music Interviews chart. So thank you so much for listening. I would love if you could hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts, whether it's Apple, Spotify, iHeart. Just hit that subscribe button. Would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and leave a review or a comment. You can follow on Instagram, celebrity_jobber_podcasts. Also youtube.com/the@celebrityjobber. And bonus content like video and just unreleased stuff from some of my interviews, some uncut portions of the interviews and video, like I said, bonus content on Substack. So go to substack.com/celebrityjobber and subscribe to our Substack. Thank you again so much. You never know, these celebrities, if they didn't hit their big break, not only would I probably not be talking to Clint Black, but I don't know, maybe he would have been the guy coming over fixing my AC the other day. But I don't know, with a voice like that, his dad knew when he was a young man that this kid was something special, and he was right. So thanks again, everybody, for checking out another episode of the Celebrity Jobber Podcast. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and until next week, I'll see you then. I'm Jeff Zito.